y'all better get ready for more now. Here comes Kyle's father, Thomas, up for the toast.
Thank you. Kyle told me I could say a few words this evening if I promised not to embarrass her. And I promised, but I've lied to my children my whole life. A daughter is a wonderful gift from God. They come down, they're soft, they're smelly, they're sweet, they laugh, and they look at you like you're the most important person in the world. And you say, God, what did I do to deserve this? And then God shows you He has a sense of humor because He sends you a second daughter. And now you're up all night. And there's all the crying. And her mother is saying, quit crying and take care of Kyle. But Kyle grew up to be Kyle. Yeah, and sometimes you wonder, what's it like to be Kyle? What's it like to be beautiful on the outside and beautiful on the inside and have everybody love you and have talent and skills and intelligence? And you wonder, what's it like to be Kyle? And I remember holding her as a small child, and we were both covered in blood because she had taken a header into a coffee table, and there was a crying, and her mother telling me to quit crying and take care of Kyle. And the doctor, the physician, is putting 25 stitches in this little girl's head. And she's looking, and she's not crying at all. And she's looking at him with this you screw this up, I have your license. Old Wimpy here, old Weepy, he's a lawyer. He'll have your ass. And she grew up to be Kyle. You know, what's it like to be Kyle? It's indescribable to be Kyle's father. And then one day she calls me and she goes, Dad, there's this guy. What's his name, I say. Ben, she says. Ben, I says. Like the rat in the movie? Daddy? No. Okay. So, and after about 4 or 5 or 6 months of dating, she finally decided Ben was ready to meet her father. So Ben and I were playing racquetball one night. And I knew something was up because he let me win. Okay, all right, that's an absolute lie. Anybody in this room that knows Ben knows he would not let me win. He would never let me win. He'd give up Kyle before he would let me win. I kicked his ass. I kicked his ass. I wasn't letting me win. And we go into the parking lot, and he goes, I want to say something. He says, I want to marry your daughter. He didn't ask, which was fine. He told me. Because I don't think I got a vote. So I put my arm on him the way a father puts his arm on someone after he's just kicked their ass. And you remember what I said?
I love you, buddy.
No, I said, don't you think you ought to have a job? True story. But I wasn't worried. I know what a competitor he is. I know how much he hates to lose. I'd seen it firsthand when he got his ass kicked by an old man. I knew Ben. I knew how much Ben loved football. I met his family. I knew how much his mother loved football. So I said, okay. I wasn't being asked, but that was all right.
And then you said, I love you, Bob.
And I said, I love you, buddy. We got around to that, because I knew eventually you would get a job. And that brings us to tonight. And you know, when Kyle was, true story, when Kyle was a little girl, she was very, very easy to discipline. I would just threaten to dance. She would act up, and I would say, if you don't be nice, I'm going to chaperone every prom, every mixer, every homecoming dance, and I'm going to dance every dance. So now, I'm hoping that finally she won't be too embarrassed to dance with her father. I'd like to offer a toast to Kyle. I thought about what to say. And when my children were little, I read to them from a book called Stregonona. And Stregonona was about a young child growing up and a parent growing old. And I was going to take a quote from that book, and I said, I wonder if she'll remember. Well, last night she gave me a handkerchief, and engraved in the handkerchief, or embroidered on the handkerchief, in one of those colors of pink that Ben turned out, was the quote from Stregonona. So she did remember. So Kyle, I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my child you'll be. To Kyle. I looked for a quote for Kyle and Ben, something snappy, something wind at your back, something the devil knows you're dead. And you know, none of them were good enough. I love you. To Kyle and Ben. Thank you, sir.